Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. Another episode in getting these F3, Phase 1 F3s done. So I've made a little bit of progress this week. I got one shell left to do, and that's what this episode is about. And basically all I'm doing is cleaning off the parting lines, but I thought maybe, since this is a video about building models, cleaning up the models is part of building the models. So I thought maybe I'd have you suffer through a little bit of the parting line cleanup just to give you an idea how I do it and what I'm looking for as far as the finish and things like that. It makes a big difference when you lay paint down and those parting lines are gone. Because if you don't get rid of those parting lines, paint is going to make them stick out like a sore thumb really, really bad. Like a thumb that needs stitches. So anyway, let me get the camera set up and I'll go over a few other things that I was making decisions on this shell, and we'll get started on cleaning up one of the last show. Before I get started, one really important tip: clean your glasses often. If you wear glasses, you'll see better. Anyway, so before I get started on doing the work on the shell, let me go over what decisions I've made. So I'm going to be using this kit for the A unit. There's an A unit kit and a B unit kit. So the A unit kit is 208, FA 208 from Details West, and it has all these detail parts in it to add to your model. Now, I don't need the draft gearbox detail parts because the draft gearbox that I made at Shapeways has these details incorporated into it. So I don't need those. I'm not going to use the door detail, so I don't need that. I don't need the steps that go on the walkway steps that go on the sides of the nose and everything, so I don't need that. I will be using the step, the rear backup light, and the lifting lugs for the back door. So the step, it goes right in here, and when I get to the point of putting that in, I'll go over where it needs to be, because you need to clear your brake cylinders so it doesn't hit the inside of this step here. So I'll take care of that. The rear backup light, I don't know if I've made the decision yet. I think I have. I think it's going to go right over the middle of the door back here. I was going to put it off to the side. I think I talked about that in the last video. But after measuring, it would have to go like way up here, which actually isn't too bad. But one of these sides, I think it's this side. I'm not sure. But one of these sides is going to have grab irons going up it. I'll have to look at pictures to see which was the more common side that EMD put the grab irons. I think it was this side. So I'm going to put the light centered right over the top of the door. Now, if the grab irons do go over on this side, maybe I will put it right over here, up high, right over here. Don't know. Still got to make that decision, but I will be using that. And then, of course, this goes on here. And I've got to cut notches in the corners there to fit these pieces here into. And I have plenty of leftover tread plate from other projects, so I'll cut a piece of tread plate that'll go out on this platform back here. So that was a decision I made there. I still got to figure out where I'm going to put this light. I know like Pennsylvania had them up over here, and I think New York Central had them down along the side here. So Pennsylvania here, New York Central there. But I can't really put it there because I didn't cut the frame to allow that. So maybe I'll put it up here, most likely over the center. Keep moving back over the center here. So what's on the agenda right now? Let me zoom in here a little bit. See, yeah, it stays focused. What we want to do, there's a good view of it, is get rid of this parting line right there. This is a shallow parting line. And you can barely feel it. But if you put paint over that, you're going to see it. So that's going to be taken down. And then the parting line that goes, there's a parting line that goes from the corner of this rain gutter. It comes down and it goes around the nose and then straight down the front of the nose over these ribs and then down over the pilot. So, gosh dang, I gotta keep an eye on the camera so I can show you guys. So again, the rain gutter down across the front of the nose or the side to the front, and then right down the middle or right down the front of the nose over these ribs and down the pilot. So that's what I got to clean up. It's the same on both sides, so I'll make you guys suffer through just doing one side. This parting line here, I just sand out. I just do wet sanding and sand it out, so you don't really need to see that. I do go in here, the parting line goes over the batten strip, so I'll clean that up with a sharp knife. Same with the, you'll see it on this one. I'll show you how I do that on there. This side, this parting line, and the one that goes over the nose, exact same as this side. So I'll show you just one side. And in the process, I'll be drilling the holes for the grab irons, because once you sand all this off, the hole locations disappear. So I'll drill those, but I'll drill them in a 10,000ths drill bit. I only want to locate them. I don't want to drill them for the wire size yet, but I just want them there. And then I'll be using a door handle from an Intermountain door handle, the sprue that has the door handles on them, back before Intermountain stopped offering their sprue parts. I don't know if they still do or not, but I got 10 sprues that had the door handles on them. So I have 40 door handles. There's 10 per sprue. So I have enough door handles to do these with like 4 left over. I would like to get more, so maybe I need to contact them to see if they have more sprues. But anyways, so I'll drill out. I'll do a 10,000ths drill out of where that door handle would be. So let me get everything, well actually I've got everything set up, but so the tools I'll be using, of course, always use a nice sharp knife. Always got to have a sharp one when you're doing scraping. I've got my 10,000ths drill bit, and I've got my scribing tool, or a scribing tool, to mark where I need to drill. A toothbrush for brushing off the water and the powder that remains after it dries and stuff like that. I've got I don't know what grit this one is, but I've got a sanding stick here, and I've got, wait, that's not the right one. This is the right one. A 400 grit sanding stick, and I think this one's 400 also, maybe a little bit less, yeah, I think this one's 400 also. This is a thinny stick. They typically have a long, let me see, oh, here's one. This is a really fine one, but they have this long piece here, and then they got the fat piece. Well, I've used this one enough where I've had to cut it off down to here, but I only need this edge right here to get in and sand where the parting line is on those ribs. So let me get myself all organized here, and we'll get down to getting this done. This last one done. All right, I'm all ready, and also I've got some water, of course, for wet sanding. Now, not only is water good for wet sanding, but it's also good for scraping. It lubricates the blade as it goes across the joint, so you don't dig too deep or scratch or make excess scratches that you don't need. But that only really works, again, when you have a sharp blade. I stress using, when you're starting projects like this or a new project, if your blade's not fairly new, put a new one in. I know these blades aren't cheap, but the results on your model will greatly benefit from, going the extra mile and using the proper tools and stuff. So, first thing I'm going to do is, the worst part of this parting line is right here where the rain gutter meets the side of the cab and comes down around the nose. So on this one, instead of scraping, I'm just going to trim it just a little bit till I can get most of it down. Now, some of what I'm going to do you're not really going to see because my hand will probably be in the way, but I want to show you guys, but I don't want to sacrifice doing it right by, trying to get it all on camera. I want, I could turn the camera off and just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, but maybe you'd like to see it. If you don't, you can, skip to the end of this video just to get the update and see everything after it's finished. So what I'm doing here is I'm scraping the line and both above it and below it to blend it. Okay, so that's been cleaned all the way down to the plastic and even above and below. So now I'm going to do a very light scrape of this parting line. Now, the one thing about using water to scrape with is you can't see the line. So you have to, after you scrape it without water, you can kind of see it. So what I'm doing is I know approximately where it's at, so I'm scraping above and below and blending both sides together. Now you don't want to scrape so much that you're changing any contours. Now a good way to determine if you've covered all areas, if there's any shiny plastic between the top and bottom of the parting line, it means you haven't covered it. The parting line is still there and visible. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape all the way down to just the top rib here. Oh, one of the things I need to do first is drill these holes out. I'm cutting the front edge of the handle where it would go through the door. Now I'll mark it with my pin vise. Now I'll drill these out with a, what is it? A 0.0114 diameter drill bit. And I'm going to drill it perpendicular to that curvature. There we go. Let's get this other side. Let me see if we can get some more. There, maybe that light will be better. Make sure I'm on camera here. Like I said in the last clip, these holes are just pilot holes. They're not the final hole size. When I put the grab irons in, that's when I'll put the hole size in. Okay, so now we're going to go down the front. And cut those little pieces off where the grab iron would go. And I'll cut the door handle off. There we go. And a little scrape up here. Alright, and now we're going to get the top of this ridge. Okay, now it's time for some sanding. So all we're going to do is put some water on that. I'll get my 400 out and just start sanding in a circular motion. Water ran away. What I'm looking for is no evidence of the parting line. See, I can still see a little bit of it right in that corner there. Okay. Like I said, I'll be turning the shell in all kinds of directions, so you will be able to see the action. You'll notice I'm in a more of a circular sanding action. I got to watch out not to sand any of the details down. All of the number boards have been taken off and put into a bag. So we'll get this front done and then we'll do that side. Now you're really not seeing anything because all I'm doing is sanding. I can still see a bit of the parting line there, down there. Looks like the top of the nose is good. And you don't want to just sand in the area of the parting line. You want to blend that all out. So you notice I'm sanding the door, sanding out near this vent area, out underneath the number board area. I want to make sure that the contours remain looking the same. Okay, the sanding stick is not getting right down to the corner there. Kind of have to act like a dentist. See if this small sanding stick will get in there. That looks good. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yes. Alright, so I can still see slight remnants of that. Tell you, when you take this parting line off, the whole nose takes on a different look. Looks really nice. That parting line is just ugly. Alright. Still see a little bit of it. You don't want to really see any of it. That's why it says if you get bored with this, just fast forward to the end and you'll see it all cleaned up. And move these parts out of the way. I lose them somehow. I'm good at losing parts. Or ignoring important parts and then they're gone. Okay. So, this is looking pretty good. Get that like that. So we got the top. Now, it looks ugly because where you've sanded is dulled down and you got the shiny plastic and stuff. But all this is going to be grit blasted, so it'll blend the whole finish over the whole thing. So those are done. I still got a little bit of a visible parting line right down at the bottom there, but we'll come back to that and we'll do this one real quick. I don't know if it's real quick. I'll do this one. Because I promise you, if you don't clean that off, you are going to see that underneath your paint. And nothing screams more amateur than parting lines. That one's pretty much gone. Okay, so that one's gone. Now, And clean up this little parting line right on the batten strip. Okay, there's there, and a little bit on the top there, and some more of a parting line right there on the bottom. There we go, all cleaned up. So that's taken care of. Alright, so that's all taken care of. So we've got that cleaned up. Got on the batten strip cleaned up. I got around the front of the nose cleaned up. And down the front of the nose, except for very bottom down there, I need to, maybe some scraping will help. Very gentle scraping. And finish it off with some sanding. And let's check that out. Oh yeah, that took care of it. Oh, but I see some more right up there. Right here. All right, that takes care of that. Get all the dust off of it. Okay, that's good. So, we're done with this portion here. This side here, across the front, the top of the nose, and then down the front of the nose. So the parting line's all gone from those areas. Now we got to do these ribs. These ribs are fairly easy to take care of. Again, with a sharp knife, we'll do all the top surfaces first. So I've already got that one. Get the next one, the next one, and the next one. Then we'll flip the shell over, and we'll do the bottom, the next one, the next one, and the top. Alright, now we got to do the face. So inside, where the flat surface is on these ribs, there's a little bit of a parting line. So I'm going to go in here. And there we go. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to scrape that both up and down. It's not really bad, but it's there, and like I said, you don't get rid of that, it will show up in paint. Alright, now I'll take this little guy here, I'll wet all that, and I'll go at an angle and just try to get, it doesn't take much, just a little bit. And go the other way. And that should take care of that. The parting line through this ribbed area is not bad, so that's all cleaned up in there now. And now all we have to do is that area there. Now one thing you have to be careful is not cut the little bolt head that it goes right behind. There we go. Now we'll just scrape that down there. Scrape it off the front. Give myself a little ramp to scrape on. There we go. Scrape the top edge of that lip. There we go. And the bottom. Now we can sand it all. And just take your time and get it sanded. See, after a while, I don't know if you can see it, but the grit starts coming off the paper. So I'll soon have to cut that. I just use one of these blades to cut through it, see, like this. And now I've got a nice sharp edge that I can use for sanding. This should almost be done. Let's check and see where we're at. Alright, so I still got a little bit visible here. Down here is all pretty good, so I just got to take care of that spot right there. Let me do a little bit of scraping. Help the sandpaper along. Alright, so that side's done. So I've got this parting line done, this parting line done, and in the ribs and on the pilot. So this side, get it right in there. This side is the exact same process as I did on this side. So I won't make you go through that. The top up here, same process. In these edges, I trim it out, I scrape it across lightly, trim it out, do all the sanding, and get it to look just like this. And, you know, so you don't see any indication that there was a parting line there. This one you have to be careful with, so you don't, when you're scraping, you don't scrape a trench in there. You want it to be smooth all the way from front to back. I also cut these little landings off for the horn, and I sand all of that. That's the only parting lines on this shell that you need to worry about. It's just the nose and over the top of the cap. So that takes care of that. Let me go ahead and get this done, and I'll close out this video. Okay, well, all of the sanding and scraping is done to get rid of all the parting lines. So I got rid of the parting lines here, across the top, down the front, over the ribs, pilot on both sides, and across the top. One thing to note, when you're sanding and doing this stuff, don't just, I know I mentioned it earlier, but don't just sand that area. Bring the sanding out so you blend the whole contour and not just that little area. Otherwise, you're going to dig a trench that you might not see on bare plastic, but when you put paint on it, the light angles or the light hitting at various angles is going to show that. So you want to sand and blend the whole area. So that's what I did on the roof. I did it on the sides, on the nose, and everything. So that takes care of that. Another little note is when you're sanding these parting lines, the parting, if you can see any discoloration in the plastic where the parting line was, it means it's still there. You need to sand it to the point that you can't see it at all. It blends all the way across, so it looks like a uniform piece of plastic, not where there was a break and you see a little line or anything like that. Sand it till you can't see the parting line, otherwise it's still there. It may not show up in paint, but it's still there. So that takes care of all of the parting line removal. And so the next step is to get the rear ends, or both ends of the B unit and the rear end of the A units done. And that means cutting the notch in the top of the doors to fit this piece, so that these pieces will fit in there, and also get the hole drilled for the backup light, whether it's going to be here or over here. I still have to make that decision. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to do a little bit of research to see where most of the lights were put. I know most of them were down low, down here, but I got to see what's going on there. I'll make that decision, of course, before I do that. So that takes care of getting the sanding done. So all of the F units, the B units don't have any sanding that need to be done on them. All the A units just had the exact same of what you saw in this clip. Okay, so that takes care of this video session. I know I really didn't show a whole lot, but it's part of the process of building these models. So I got all of the parting lines cleaned up, and now I can move on to getting some of the locations for the details set up. Like I've always mentioned in most of my videos, always get your cutting done first before you start adding any detail. It makes life a whole lot easier. So if you made it through this, or even if you skipped to the end of this part, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and to support me keeping me doing videos. I am starting to get kind of bored with it because I'm not really showing you guys anything new anymore. It's kind of rehashing the same thing over and over again. So it's possibly after I get these F units done, I may not do any videos anymore, or maybe for quite some time. I don't know. I have to see how I feel. But you never know. I might pick up something that might be interesting or something like that. So anyway, you all take care, and thanks again for watching.